It's your boy, Ed the Dread, aka Eddie Money Mouth, and you are tuned in to the Money Mouth Podcast. Yes, sir. It is Inauguration Day. Oh, Inauguration Day 2025. Today, the 47th president of the United States is inaugurated, which happens to be the same president as the 45th president of the United States. So does he get two numbers, or is it just like he's the 45th guy, but he hit him twice? Who knows? Anyway, Scrump is in as of today. Woo! And I know all y'all were sweating because you thought TikTok was gone, but I opened up my TikTok today, and the first thing that popped up said, thanks to Mr. Trump, TikTok is no longer banned. So, you heard it first. First thing Scrump did, he fucking hooked you up, got you up in there. You still got TikTok. Yeah. But the topic of today's podcast is the actual inauguration, because I was present in human form at the inauguration on January 20th in 2017. If you did not know, I grew up outside of Northwest DC in Montgomery County, Maryland. At the time, I was in between moving from New Jersey to North Carolina and staying at my parents' house in Maryland, and the inauguration was going down. People were pissed. And I mean, some of my friends' parents, I had never seen them so upset and crying over stuff. I mean, even at a funeral, they were crying harder because that guy got in office. But when I went to the inauguration, it was the wildest thing I'd ever seen in my life. So we will touch base a little bit on what I saw, what happened. I actually have video proof to go with it. And, we'll talk a little bit. So essentially, what I did that day was I put a wetsuit, it was freezing cold, January 20th in frickin' the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic, freezing. I believe it might have even snowed and or rained previously that week. So I put a wetsuit on, and then I put a suit on, with shirt and tie, suit. And then I put one of my own Good Vibes gear, like red beanies on, right? My idea was to just dress like business casual, I guess, because I left the button undone on the top of the tie, right? But I just wanted to be approachable enough that either side would talk to me. Because the idea was to do street interviews and such. But what ended up happening was there was no way I could do interviews. It was just it was pandemonium. It's also stuff I'd never seen in my life, right? So I went to the inauguration, then I ended up going to work later on that day at 3 p.m. or something, and I was just bugged out. Everyone at work was like, what was going on? What's wrong with you, dude? I'm like, what? I went to the inauguration. They're like, yeah? I'm like, oh, okay, you don't understand what happened there. So essentially, for the inauguration, I'm not sure where it happens. It's definitely not on the White House lawn or something, right? But it's at some, monument down in DC. So they end up taking huge fences and putting them around the city blocks to barricade in this place. So I think you can buy a ticket to the inauguration. You get your ticket, you get in line, you stand in line for a fucking million hours, and then you get in, you get to go see the change of command here in the United States, right? But what was going on at that point was every protest group was trying to block the entrance to the inauguration. So I rode the bus down to I believe Union Station or something, and just hopped out on my skateboard and took off into the streets. After figuring out that people were trying to block all the entrances, I kind of just had the idea of skating to every entrance and seeing every protest group. And like I said, maybe interviewing, maybe not, maybe whatever. But like I said, it's thinking about it all, it was just completely insane. First and foremost, when you step into Union Station in DC, there's gold in the ceilings and shit. It's too much money in the structure. And then you walk outside and it's houselessness and crack smoke, and I'm not joking. So what I saw when I left Union Station that morning was, I believe a Native American protest group and or tribe of individuals, but just out there doing their thing. I mean, they weren't anywhere near the inauguration. They were just there, having a powwow, almost just drums, a circle of people doing Native American, tribal dances. And that was the first thing I saw. The second thing I saw was, it looked like Guantanamo Bay fucking prisoners. It was people in orange jumpsuits with bags over their head, like in a big ass line. It was just like nuts, right? So as I made my way through each protest area, the idea of blocking the entrance was, neither here nor there. Right? There were people getting dragged away by the police. There were people getting like freaking hit by the police. There were people fucking, there were people climbing the fence trying to get in. It was just wild. But two things that really stood out to me was like the one group that actually succeeded. Right? There was one group that actually succeeded in keeping people from entering that entrance, and it was a Native American rights activism group that was just, they had signs that said water is life, like period. I mean, I would assume just because of how big water is out here, that if there were any, Native Hawaiian Kanaka over there at the time, they probably joined that protest group, right? But what they did was hold arms, everybody locked arms in like rows of 5. So like if the cops beat you up and grabbed you from the door, they pulled one person out, boom, the next 2 people just linked arms, and then they had people just on a chain all the way to the end, and like they would just keep shuffling in. They had people just waiting in line, right? And they literally kept everybody out of the entrance, which again, like that was kind of their goal. They were like, we don't want this happening, like fuck this guy, Another group that really stood out to me was the gay pride group, right? Like, I'm not sure, it was 2017, so I'm not sure what the acronym was at the time. I'm not even trying to be like funny about it. Like, I don't know what was going on, but I'm just going to say they had rainbow flags and they were happy as fuck, right? And if gay means happy, then listen, dog, it was the only group that was happy. They were dancing. I don't think that they had the idea to stop the people going in the inauguration. I think they were just there to be like, yo, bro, we're here. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all going in there because you fuck with that guy, but like all of us live here too. So like, here, see this shit. And it was like a dance party, bro. Like, I got all up in there. I was dancing up in that bitch. That shit was crazy. Like, I ended up skating with a bunch of people. There was, a lot of other skaters. Definitely shredded some freaking, like wall ride / just mediocre stuff because you couldn't really do street runs. There was the freaking Army National Guard everywhere. That was another thing I'd never seen in DC. It's just like Humvees and damn near tanks everywhere. It was, that was crazy, right? So there was a group that was trying to sabotage the whole thing. They were there in all black. I get they were wearing shiesties before a shiesty was a shiesty, right? And I rolled up on them. I actually tried to talk to them. I was like, yeah, what's y'all's plan? Like, what the fuck? And then like the smallest girl out of the group tried to like slap the camera out of my hand. And to be fair, they looked like they were all like between 16 and 20. Okay, and they also didn't do shit but like break the windows out of a Starbucks and I think shatter the windows of some people's cars that were on the street. So their protest group didn't succeed in anything but making a fool of themselves and fucking being assholes. Cause like people's cars, like who the fuck, bro? You just broke somebody's car window. Like that homie's got to get a new window now, and it could rain in his shit, and who knows what's gonna happen with a bunch of other motherfuckers walking past, and all your stupid young friends doing shit all day. Whew. But with that said, I think the group that had the most impact on me was, again, this is 2017, so I'm sure it wasn't Black Lives Matter, but it was just the group of African American people that were protesting. Now, they were just showing a stance of solidarity. It wasn't so much they were blocking any entrance as they had brothers and sisters like in chains, bonded in chains, and I believe maybe blindfolded, and they were the head of the march that had just, a lot of people flowing behind it, right? So there was actually a point where I was like, whoa, this could be a really super sick cinematic shot, because I mean, like, I'm a black dude, so, and I'm clearly not with a fucking TV camera, right? I just have like a GoPro. So like I thought they'd be cool with me sitting there and trying to get this crazy cinematic shot, right? And so what I did was I skated like a block and a half around to get in front of them, and then like the police were in a motorcade in front of them as well. So I just jumped onto the fucking double yellow lines in the street and sat in the street. Now, what ended up happening was first I selfied myself and had police go by me. And then I turned around and I went to film the group of, the big African American group of protesters that were coming toward me. And my idea was to sit on my skateboard and kind of shuffle and like just have the brothers and sisters walk past me. And I go under the chains and just have a mass of black people just walk past me and just show how many people were there. Like, how long is the clip of people walking past, right? But what really happened was, as soon as I turned around and I faced the camera toward the group of black people, I got hit with a fucking water bottle. And then I got like a water and a soda dumped on my head. And then people just started fucking screaming at me and asking me whose side I was on, maybe because I had a red hat on or whatever, and I was wearing a suit, and most of the brothers and sisters weren't wearing suits. But you know what I'm saying? That shit happened. So I didn't really get the clip. I got hit with water and fucking got mad and got up and started screaming at people. And then like an argument ensued with me and some brothers, and then I just told them to fuck off because they're sitting here in Jordans bitching about fucking the cost of living while their shoes are like $500, So I was just like, whatever, motherfucker, right? But ultimately, them and I are in the same struggle. Okay, and that's how all this political shit works. It like puts everybody against each other when the reality of it is the system is the thing that's fucking us all. Right? So at the end of all of that, I was like I said, I went to work and I didn't even know, I didn't have anything to say to anybody. Like there were people that I worked with who were like feminist and gay rights activists. I worked at like an organic grocery store, something similar to Down to Earth here out on Maui. It was Roots in Olney, Maryland, Roots Market, right? But there were people there telling me, oh yeah, bro, I stand up for this, this and this. And like, they didn't go to be with their group, one. And they also didn't see just how alive the city was and how passionate people were and just how crazy it was. So like I came back, kind of had absorbed all that and didn't even know what the fuck to do with myself. And they're like, well, tell us about it. I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it. Well, like, what? Did you even do anything? Like, just leave me alone, please. I don't even want to talk about it. So what ended up happening is when I got home from work that evening, I just went down into the basement where I was living in my parents' house, and I was just learning how to use a looper and literally just learning how to sing and play guitar. And I just, boom, did a beatbox with the most minimal looper pedal of your life, and then a stupid little out of tune riff because I didn't give a shit back in the day. And I just freestyled like how I felt about it. So that video is here. It's actually on this channel and not my music channel. So you can check that out. Again, the guitar quality is horrible. The sound quality is horrible. But if you haven't followed me for a long time, like back then, I didn't give a shit. Like I didn't want studio quality because I was sick of standardization of shit. And people go through cycles, and you might be on one pole and one side of one thing at one time the other. But always the middle ground is the best place to be. So now, I like quality audio. I'm not against it, right? But it's going to be bad quality is what I'm telling you. And that's okay, because I was just living out my intention in my soul at the time. So you can check that video out again right here. But all I could do was make a song about it. Like I didn't know how to express it in any other way. So that is actually how I have all these clips that you've probably seen over on the side too, because like I said, I actually just filmed the whole thing and just made something of it. So my hope, honestly, or my intention at the end of having all that footage that I had and only making that little video was to hold on to it and be like, oh, when he leaves office, let's film stuff, which ended up being the craziest fucking insurrection you'd ever see. But all that footage got stolen when my car got broken into and all my laptops and camera equipment were taken. So previous footage from like the last 15, 20 years of my life that I was making a skimboard documentary and stuff like that and all sorts of wild stuff was just gone. But that's okay. That's how life is, right? But here we are now with a new inauguration, and we'll see how this shit goes, right? Because some of my friends were very optimistic. They were like, this guy Trump is gonna fucking make the war in Palestine stop, or the genocide in Palestine stop. He's gonna make healthcare better and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, all right, but I'm not gonna front. I'm pretty sure I read this morning that a fucking ceasefire agreement has come into effect and that hostages were released. So I don't know. That motherfucker just popped up and shit's popping off. TikTok's back. Hostages are getting released. If people stop getting blown up in fucking Palestine, maybe I might just slap high five with that motherfucker if I see him. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't give a fuck. I just want people to stop dying. And that was your Money Mouth Podcast. Yes, baby. Bless. It's your boy, Ed the Dread. Click likes, click subscribe. Share it if you care. Follow hard, because we ain't going to stop. It's 2025. We going to the top. Yes, bless. Y side, baby. Yeah.